Hey, welcome to yesterday's project. I'm working on a 2000 Cherokee, and what I've got going on this one is a slight amount of rust repair. So this is on the rear quarter, and what happened is I had a hole I could see here, and this is right behind the wheel, so it was going to fill up with mud and dirt, and it already started to fill up with mud and dirt. So I pulled the rear plastic section off, and there was a small hole here, and of course you start picking at it and it turned into a rather large hole. And this actually wasn't even a hole, this was just some bubbles, but once I hit it with the wire wheel I have a hole. So Key Parts does make replacement quarter panels where I could section out just the part I need. They make this bottom part. The other option would be, since this is covered by plastic and by a flare, I could just take like some flat steel and put it over top and not really worry too much about the fit and finish. But this vehicle, if you looked in one of my other videos, had been repaired, and I still have, this is the original fender from when it was in a wreck, and I just, had it sitting around, kept it just in case. And this contour right here is pretty similar to the contour of the rear quarter panel. So kind of side by side. So I'm taking a few measurements, and I've cut up, this is the rust hole up here, and then there's another one about here. So I'm just going to trim this and use this front fender as a patch panel. It's not exact, but it's pretty darn close. Most of the contours are in there. So I'm going to trim this thing up and set it up there, and I'll show you what I got. So I've taken the front fender and I've cut out the section roughly that I need, left it pretty large because I can always trim this down. So I'm just going to kind of set it up here, and it's got roughly the same contour, and it covers all my spots. So I'm just going to start trimming this down because I really just want to cut just these rusted spots. I don't need to cut a lot more. So yeah, that should work. So this is a front fender section. I'll just start trimming it back. Okay, so here's the quarter panel. This is what I wound up with after I kind of trimmed everything back, and this is gonna cover those spots. It's not exact. You can see the body line up here lines up nice, but it hangs down, so I'm gonna have to kind of blend it right in there. And I've just traced it so I can trim it, and this is what'll get cut. So you can see all the rust spots. And as far as the trimming on here, I actually cut on a couple of high spots. That way, being on a high spot, it will be less susceptible for warping when I weld it, and it'll be easy to grind the weld down. A weld that's in a dip like this will be hard to grind down or finish work after. Ideally I would have tried to maybe go across here and in something, but I got to get rid of that rust in there. So that's what I came up with. I'm going to trim this all out. Now, if I actually had the correct panel, I've got a lot of different jagged cuts in here. If I had the correct panel, I may have just gone slice right along this body line, welded it, and just replaced this entire piece. But I didn't have that available, so this worked out because this is all roughly the same contour. This is probably not the most efficient way but with what I have available, this should work pretty good. Okay, so this is after I trimmed it. So I got this for the outside. Should fit pretty close. I'll kind of have to adjust it as I tack it. And then I'm going to have to make a panel on the inside right here and here. So I'm going to put this on the outside and then I'll get my filler panel. Alright, so here's how the panel came out. You can kind of see the weld marks and stuff in there. The flare is going to cover that a little bit. I got to do just a little bit of paint work. This came out pretty nice in here. And then it's open back here. I've got to put two little filler panels in here. Where the rust was, and this was nice because I could get my hand in here with a dolly and kind of hammer this out to make it just nice and smooth, and just kind of metal work it so it's nice and smooth. And then I just made this pretty crude little patch, just bent this out of some flat steel, and that'll just fit in there. And I'm a little less worried about how this looks because it's on the inside, and I'll probably put some sort of a undercoat or bed liner in the fender well, just for noise and for rocks and things like that. So that'll go there. You know, for what I had, seeing that this is part of a front fender, it came out okay. It's not ideal to weld right across the center of a panel like that. If I were trying to really do this, it'd probably just be order this piece from a repop and maybe do it at like this seam, this body line here, take this bracket off and just replace a couple spot welds here, and then you don't got to worry about the finish work here. Just spot welds, a couple spot welds here, and then replace the whole inner panel and do 3 pieces, and then just do a separate little piece right here. And that would be a little bit more ideal, but I didn't have, since I was using a chunk of front fender, I didn't have a big piece like that to work with. So this will do, and I just wanted something kind of quick. So here it is, and I'll finish welding it up. And so here it is, sanded, ground down. You can kind of see the line where it got spliced. Pretty straight. Only thing is, you know, this is part of a front fender, so this width of this is a little bit different. So the transition here is not quite right. Maybe a little filler, or you know, the flare is going to cover it anyway. All this is pretty much going to be buried, so kind of overdid it. And then here's on the inside where there was rust, and that's all taken care of. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to do just a little bit of filler and sealer work on there and spray it, and hopefully it'll look like it never rusted. So after I metal finished it, I put just a little bit of filler on here, just to kind of smooth things over, and I primed it, and it's you know, smooth enough, I guess. And then on the inside, I just put like a bed liner. I used a sealer on it, and then I just put a bed liner, and that pretty much covered. I didn't really do any filler work. I just kind of ground down the welds, and that's pretty much it. I'll throw a little paint on there and should be good to go. The filler, you know, smoothed out that transition area. It still looks a little funky, but okay, so I laid down some color. that's pretty much what it looks like. It's a little hazy at the top. I've got to do a light wet sand and then just sort of buff it, and it should come out pretty good. So there's the repair. Thanks for watching.